Hey guys, welcome back to GWiz Academy. In this video, we are going to learn about Python if and else statement. So why do we write Python if statement or else statement? What exactly does this mean and why should we use it? All these things we are going to see in this video. All right. Till from our first chapter to 14th chapter, we have understood Python basics and also some complex concepts like string, list, tuple, sets, and dictionaries. These are called Python data structures. So all these things we have covered, right? So now it's time to make use of those things that we have already learned and start writing some logic or start writing program, start writing conditions. So how to create conditions? For example, let's say we are going to use some operators in the sense we have learned in our 9th chapter. There are some operators, right? So in this video, we are going to learn by using this comparison operator and logical operator. We'll try to make use of this, and we'll create some programs, or we'll write some program, or very small, simple programs that we'll be writing, right? So let's go to our 15th chapter here. Now, what exactly is this if statement and why do we use it? See, let's learn it from example itself. Let's say there is a variable called as a, or whatever name you can give, you can assign it if it is valid variable name, right? So either it can be variable or list or tuple or dictionary, whatever it is. For a easy understanding, I'm just using a simple variable. So if a variable is equals to 10, or let's say 15, right? 115 or 15, right? Now here, if this is a statement or this is a condition, so now what happens is I can tell Python that, hey, if a is bigger than 10, print a is bigger than 10, and if a is less than 10, then print a is less than 10. This is what I can tell Python based on this condition. Based on this condition, I can tell Python to perform certain tasks, to create. So this way I'm creating a logic. So right. So let's see what is the syntax to write an if and else statement. See, if you see here, if a is greater than 10, I'll use colon. Next line. If a is greater than 10, then print a is bigger than 10, right? Simple, right? Perfect. Now click on save and run this program. A is bigger than 10. It's extremely simple to understand, right? So what did we do? A is 15, right? It's our example, the imaginary example, and then we asked Python to print this statement if a is bigger than 10. So what if a is bigger than let's say 115 or 200, then print a is bigger than 200. Okay, save it. We know that a is not bigger than 200, but does Python know? Let's check it out. So click on run and you will see nothing is printed. This result is being shown from the older output. Let me clear this output. All right, so if you run this code now, as you can see, there is no output being displayed. At least I should get to know that a is not greater than 200, right? So if it's complete blank, I will get confused. So what I'll do, if a is greater than 200, then print a is greater than 200. Else print a is less than 200, right? Perfect. So let me save it. So this is how you write if and else statement. Make a note of this, how I'm using indentation. If you indent this else statement like this, it will throw an error. So you will have to write right below this if statement, and whatever you need to, this condition should be valid under this one, right? Under this statement. So I have added indentation, and this should execute under else, right? So I have added indentation accordingly, right? So make sure that you use indentation very accurately, and also make note of this colon that I'm using here, right? It is extremely important, otherwise you will get an error. So now let's save this code and run this program. So what did I get as an output? A is less than 200. So Python is saying that our program is saying that A is less than 200. Okay. So we simply asked A, if A is greater than 200, print A is bigger than 200. If A is less than 200, see, it is by default understandable. If A is not greater than 200, then obviously it is less than 200 or equal to 200, right? So I have written a very small condition, if and else statement I have written, through which I can identify. Right now you can see this variable A is equal to 15. Right now you're able to see it right away on the screen. But while you're writing a code in production environment, sometimes what happens is you don't know what exactly that value holds, and there will be millions of data in it, numbers in it, so many hundreds and thousands of numbers. So manually we will not be able to identify, and that's the reason we write this type of we create this type of statements, so that it is easy for us to further execute the program. Again, this is not a complete program, this is a part of program through which we get into some conclusion, we identified. So what is the use of this program? We concluded that A is less than 200, obviously. Okay, now let me do one thing. If A is greater than 200, then print A is bigger than 200. So okay, so what I can do is I'll copy this whole thing under elif, or let's say it's okay, I'll write it here itself. So yeah, here what I can do is I'll go back again here and I'll write if, okay, and then again elif A is greater than 100, print A is bigger than 100. See, what is the logic that I am writing here? If A is greater than 200, then this code will get executed, right? If this code doesn't execute, then elif statement will get executed. I have written elif statement as well. Elif in the sense else if, right? So if A is greater than 100, then print A is greater than 100, A is bigger than 100. And again, I'll write one more statement, if A is greater than 50, then print A is greater than 50, right? So then now I have written two elif statement, right? So what happens here is this first statement will get executed if in case A is greater than 200, and the program will stop. We'll get an output and a program will stop. And if this statement is not true, then this code will not run. So what happens is it will jump to the next condition. Next condition is what? Elif if A is greater than 100, then this will be printed as an output. If A, and in case if A is less than 100, then obviously it will jump to the next code. Now here it is again, we have written that if A is greater than 50, then print A is greater than 50. Now if again, if A is greater than 10, or let's say 25, print A is bigger than 25, right? And then again if a is greater than 15. It's just a guesswork, right? So print a is greater than 15. Else, finally, if this statement also doesn't execute, in the sense if this condition also doesn't prove right, then it will jump to the last statement, else. This is the last condition, right? Whatever the result is, it will just print out this output. If all these statements are false, then our program will jump to the last statement, that is else, and it will just print, um, since it is not greater than 15, then it will be less than 15, right? So a is either 15 or less. Does this make sense? So what we have written here is, please see carefully. First thing is, I have written a if statement. If a is greater than 20, then print this. In the sense, if this condition is met, then print this code. If if this condition does not meet, then jump to the second condition. The program will check if this condition is met or not. If this condition is not met, then it will jump to the third one. And then if this is also not true, then it will jump to the fourth one, and then fifth one, and then sixth one, right? Like this. No matter how many, you can have multiple if else statements, and one if statement, and last finally else statement, right? So to complete it correctly. And yeah, since a is not bigger than 200, then obviously it will be less than 200, right? So less than 200, 100 or 50 or 225, or then last finally 15. If even this statement is false, then finally our program will jump to the else statement, and it will print this one as an output. So let's save this code and run this program. So what happens now is, a is greater than 15. Scroll down slightly. Okay. So as you can see, we got this as an output calling a is either 15 or less. In the sense, this statement is what we got in our output. In the sense, this else statement got executed. In the sense, all this if else statement did not get executed, right? And if statement did not get executed, if elif statement did not get executed, finally else statement got executed. This one got executed, right? So you understood how these things work, right? So this is a very simple example through which I explained you how we use if else statement. So this is what we call as if else statement. This is how we write if statement, elif statement, and else statement, right? So let me paste it here. Okay, now scroll down. Single line if statement. Okay, so let me take another example. B is equals to 25. Okay, so this is a simple variable whose value is 25, and let's say if B is greater than 25, print B is bigger than 25. Right? And let me save it. Okay, let me save it for now, and run this program. Scroll down. A is either 15 or it's or less. Okay, this first program is getting executed. The second program, B, regarding B, we didn't get any output. In the sense, if we did not get any output, what does it mean? It means that this if statement is not true. If the if statement is false, in the sense B is less than or equal to 25. So let me scroll down. The concept that I wanted to tell you here is, you can, instead of writing it this in two lines, what you can do is simply write everything in single line. Okay, still you will not get any error. If you don't get any error, that is a valid syntax, right? So we did not get any output because obviously this is not a true condition. So yeah, now here we have written print, here we have written if statement. So now let's say if I want to use if and else statement both in a single line, so what is the syntax for that? So for that what we can do is, let me simply comment off this one. So for that what we can do is print b is greater than 25 if b is greater than 25, right? Else print b is 25 or less. So what does this mean? This means exactly what I'll write it now. If b is greater than 25, then print b bigger than 25, else print b is 25 or less, right? So this is a traditional method, right, through which, in the sense like multi-line, we can use and write it. The same code we can write it in a single line. So first how did I write it? First you need to write this one. Okay, first I just wrote this thing and then I added this condition b is greater than 20, and then I simply added this else statement, else, and then I added this print statement here. This is a syntax through which you can use this complete, how to convert this complete code in a single line. This is a syntax through which you can do that, right? And if in case there is no else statement, what you simply need to do is simply write this thing here and simply add this print statement also beside it, like this, right? If there is no else statement, this is a syntax, and if there is an else statement, then first you write this print condition and then else if statement, and then else and then print condition, right? So this is how you write this multi-line if else statement in a single line, right? So I hope you understood this point here. If in case there is any questions or doubts regarding this point, please let me know. Okay, you don't have to get confused. I'll try to explain once again. Now let me quickly comment it off. And now scroll down. Single line multiple else statement. Multiple else statement in the sense, if elif statement or something like that, right? So if this is a code, if this is a multi-line if else statement, then how do you write it in a single line? So what you need to do is, please note that while you write in a single line, you don't use this elif term. Okay, you simply use either if and then else. So let me quickly convert this whole thing. Let me simply grab this complete code, scroll down and paste it here for reference. And now let me convert this whole code into a single line. So what I'll do, first I'll copy this print a is greater than 200, and then what I need to do, I'll need to add this if. Okay, and then space, instead of elif, what you need to write, else. Okay, and then print statement here. You need to again write if statement here. Copy this code and write if a is greater than 100. So what is happening is, first you write the output, and then if condition has to be written, and then else. Okay, turn else instead of if else, and then copy this code, paste it, and then again. So it will be very long, so what I'll do, I'll simply remove this two code here. The process is very simple, the process is exactly same, but yeah, since it is very long, I don't want you to get confused, so let me quickly remove this thing. Right, I don't want to overcomplicate examples, so that's the reason I'll just remove it. You can apply the same rule, whatever I'll be showing it here, the same rule you can use it to make this code in a single line, right? So what I'll do is, first thing is you copy this print as an output, and then you add this if statement. Okay, space, paste it, and then space, again you use you copy this whole thing, I'll tell you, and paste it here right beside this, and make it, instead of elif, else. Okay, and then else, and paste this print in between this else, and you need to write if, and then here you need to paste it. Okay, and then space, and again copy this whole thing instead of colon, and remove, yeah, space here, else, and then simply paste this print. Okay, and then, so what is happening here is, if you see, print a is greater than 200 if a is greater than 200, else print a is bigger than 100 if a is greater than 100, else print a is greater than 15 if a is greater than 15. Right, you understood, right? Else, again, else, finally, else, simply print space a is either 15 or less than 15. Right, it's as simple as that. So now if I simply remove it, save this code, and run this program again, a is either 15 or less than 15. Right, so this is what is executed in a single line. If you do any mistake here, it will throw an error, so please watch this again and try to make this in a single line. This is a long, because we had multiple, if else statement, I just reduced two statements so that it is not overwhelming or confusing for you. So yeah, let me put it back here, our code, so that it is easy for you to refer again. All right, so I'll remove this. Okay, so now you can, right now, to build logic or to write if and else statement, we simply used this what we say, comparison operator, right? So greater than or less than or something like that. So what if we can go ahead and make it a little bit more complex? So let's say a is equals to 25 and b is equals to 35. Okay, so now I can create a complex logic as well. If a is greater than 20 and b is greater than 50, then print a is between, or let's say between 20 to 50, right? It's simple, right? So what is this and here? We use this and because it is a kind of operator that we have already studied, right? Here logical operators and or and not, we can use this and make complex conditions here in if and else statements. This is how we make go ahead and use it, right? If there are multiple data that has been given to us and we need to create a complex logic, we make use of this comparison and logical operators to create if and else statements like this, right? So if a is 200, if a is greater than 20, yes, if a is greater than 20, obviously we know that, and b is greater than 50, so but b is less than 50, so that means that this statement is false, and that is the reason this statement, this print output won't work, in the sense this will not get executed. So now again, if a is greater than 20 or b is greater than 50, print either a is bigger than 20 or bigger than 50, right? So what is this or operator doing here? Here in our first line, both these should be true in order to print this as an output. But here under this elif statement, here either of these two should be true. Either this statement, if a is 20, then this statement will get executed, or if this condition is true, then also this statement, this output will be printed, right? So this is how we use or operator, in the sense either this or that. Okay, so now by you can clearly say that this second elif, first elif statement will get executed. Now to close this complete if else statement, I should also write else condition also, else simply print a is not bigger than 20 or 50, right? So save it. See here what happens. This is a simple dummy logic that I have created right away. So what you can see here is what you need to make note that we can go ahead and create multiple conditions through which we can create programs like this. See, based on our observation, we can say that a is greater than 20. Yes, it is true. And b is greater than 50. No, it is not true. But we have used this AND operator. AND operator will execute only if both conditions are true. So this first condition won't get executed. Now our program will jump to our second condition. Second condition is what? A is greater than 20. Yes, true. Or b is greater than 50. False. True or false. So either this or that. So our program will execute this as an output. It should print this one as an output. If both these conditions, both these statements are false, then our program will jump to the third statement and it will print this as an output. Let's quickly save it and run this program and see what is the output for us. There is a spelling mistake I have done, I guess. Okay, is either a is bigger than 20 or bigger than 50. So this is an output, either a is greater than 50, a is bigger than 20 or bigger than 50, right? This is an output that we have printed in, our program has executed this second statement, right? Now what is this nested if? As we have seen in our dictionaries, nested dictionaries, some examples like that, right? Similarly, we can go ahead and create nested if conditions as well. See, now I'll use the same this thing, or let's say c is equals to 35 and d equals to let's say 50. Okay, if a is greater than 20, then print sorry, if C is greater than 20, then yeah, then print C is greater than 20. Okay, else print C is smaller than 20. Okay, this is a very simple program that I have written. Now how do you nest this one? Let's say here under print itself I can write one more if and else statement. See here, right under print, I should not be writing here. If I write this if statement here without indentation, this will be a new if statement, so it will throw an error. So for that, what I need to do, I'll write it right beside this, below this print statement. C is if C is greater than 30 and D is greater or equals to 50, then print C is bigger than 30 and D is either 50 or less than 50, right? This is the output. So what is the condition? If C is greater than 30, then it is true. If C is greater than 20, 35, C is equals to 35, so C is greater than 30 obviously. So and D is greater or equals to 50, so D is equals to 50, so this is also true. True and true will execute this as a code. Else colon print what? C is less than 30 and D is less than 50. So this is an output. So this is a simple example of a nested if else statement through which we can create complex logics in our programs. So here what I have done, if this first if statement will run as soon as this condition is true. Is it true or not? C is greater than 20, C is 35, so C is obviously greater than 20, so our program will run this one only. If this is false, then our program will skip to the else statement and print this as an output. So since this is true, so our program will jump now directly here, and as soon as it jumps inside this if statement, print C is greater than 20. So first thing it will do is it will print C is greater than 20, and then what it will do, here program doesn't stop, right? So here we have written one more if statement. So here, as you can see, if C is greater than 30 and D is greater or equal to 50, true and true. If both are true, then this print will function. Else it will jump to this statement, right? So let's save this code and run this program. Scroll down. Unexpected indent. Okay. So as you can see here, C is greater than 20. C is greater than 20. And then C is bigger than 30 and D is either 50 or less than 50. So C is bigger than 30 and D is either 50 or less than 50. Or this statement got executed because both these conditions are true. And this statement got executed because this statement is also true, right? So this is how we write if and else statement, and this is how we write elif statements as well inside to write multiple conditions inside this if else statement. So I hope this concept is very clear. I have used very simple examples. What I want you to do is try to create some more complex questions for yourself and try to solve it through if and else statements. So what you need to do, you need to create 10 or 15 variables, and then based on those variables play around with if and else statements and see how you can perform various logics, right? And see how program runs and executes what code, right? And start analyzing it. so that you'll get a hang of this syntax, when where to indent, where not to indent, when to write colon, and when to use this parenthesis and all those things. You will be getting a hang of it, right? So try practicing it, don't just watch it. That is most important thing, right? So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. I hope you have understood clearly how to use if and else statement in Python. Now in our next video we are going to start learning about Python loops, which is extremely important concept. So we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.